Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
Blast me hearties, and welcome once again to First Stream Ahead. Arg, I be your captain, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is me, skinny rich first mate and best friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz. Oh, Mozz even wearing the Christmas gift I got him this year.
The super
connectors.
And I don't know if you can catch that.
Yeah, it says, it's Mozz.
Yeah. Hey.
Number
Thank
10.
you very much.
Because Mozz is a perfect 10. Yeah, I was debating wearing it, but I never buy people gifts, just to know. I never, ever, ever buy people gifts. And I saw this and I said, you know what? Let me get for my whole super connectivity family. And I know Phil likes his. I've got one that says the Professor. And
nice.
I'm waiting to hear what Lilith thinks about hers. But anyway, so yes, my big dream is we can all get together for a big event and have us all wear our shirts. But
yeah, maybe next Batman Day.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Getting back to this story, in a galaxy of capes and lunatics, of gods and monsters. Is anyone listening? No, nobody's listening. This is season 1, episode 9 of Andor. Nobody's listening. Under intense scrutiny, well-imprisoned Cassian makes allies and plans an impossible escape. Our director this week, of course, is Toby Haynes. Bo Willimon is our writer. And there we go. Tony Gilroy gets our created by. And, of course, good old Jorge Lucas gets our based on Star Wars by credit. So, although we're focusing on Cassian Andor, this actually opens up with Bix. Because Bix got herself arrested last episode, Mozz. I had forgotten about that, actually. Sorry. And they are going to do the interrogation. Although, I don't know. So this is a very interesting question about interrogation. Because they're using, state of the art, Mozz, interrogation techniques that are basically based on breaking someone psychologically, which is correct. Technically correct, the best kind of correct. Because if you don't break someone psychologically, you can't trust the information you get. But at the same time, there's a quality to it that makes you ask, are they really breaking someone psychologically? Especially if they know that's what you're trying to do. It's an interesting aspect of escape and evasion school. Where, they give you the tricks to keep yourself from being broken psychologically. But the minute someone's trying to break you psychologically, it is arguable that you can hold on for that, one more moment, And it's, there's the, I don't know if you ever saw The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's a fun Netflix series.
Oh, that's the one with what's her name from The Office, right?
Yeah, the redhead. I forget her name.
Right,
but
right.
She's a very funny actress. I like her.
Yeah.
And she's in there, and when she's plotline, she's captured by a cult, and it is not good, as you might imagine. Oh, not even a cult, but like one guy captures these women and holds them in the thing, and she makes this thing about how if you can get through a minute of something, you can get through anything, because you just say, well, I just have to get through a minute. I have to get to another minute. I have to get through another minute.
Yeah, no, but I think that is the fraying wire that they're trying to break, is when you don't know how many minutes you have left. That sort of doubt starts creeping in. God, I know I can make it for a minute, but what if I have 50 minutes? What if I have 150 minutes? That dread is what finally breaks all the fibers and
the trick to that is, Mozz, don't think about the next minute. Think about this minute.
No, but that's what they're. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, I won't think about it, but they're constantly playing this or virtually putting me in this mind state, like that you're actually there and you're hearing these children die.
Yes,
and that's you can. I mean, there's always got to be a breaking point. Just like someone can't stay awake for too long, right? You keep someone awake for a certain period of time, and their brain just breaks. Same thing here. I mean, like, there is a breaking point.
Although, arguably, your brain will fall asleep, which I know from driving. Eventually, no matter what you want to do, your brain's going to say, no, it's bedtime. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's at that point where they inject you full of drugs or poke at you with pointy things.
Yeah, I mean,
let you fall asleep. And then just for the sacred and holy gift of letting you sleep.
Yeah.
You'll do anything.
And that is the idea here, because even before they put, Bix under, she's asking her all the questions. But this is, I think, the point that Bix shows she's actually in control. Because she makes the statement, you're not going to believe anything I say until you do this anyway, right? And then, goodness love her, our ISP, bad girl, says, no, I won't. And that's the mistake. That is the absolute mistake that you make in this situation. Because honestly, she is kind of just a sadist,
right?
And a sociopath,
right?
And she wants to do the thing. And if she had just said, oh, no, actually, no, I'll believe you. What do you want to tell me? And maybe they could have had that rapport that she seems to want to build. If she was going to do a good cop, bad cop, which actually is the most effective method of interrogation, where it's like, hey, no, I don't want to do this. What do you think I am, a sociopath? No. What do you want to tell me? But when you make the idea that, no, I'm not going to accept it until I do this anyway, you've given away the whole game, and now it becomes this waiting game. It becomes not how much longer can I deal with this, but how much longer can she wait? Because the fact of the matter is, as the interrogation victim, I know that person has a report to file. That person has paperwork to do. That person needs to give something back to show that they didn't just waste all of the Empire's time and money chasing down some random scrap dealer on freaking Ferrix, of all places.
I've got to believe, though, that it's a very lofty goal to think that your constitution will outweigh, whatever pressure is on Deidre to fill out a form. She can get by and be like, I'll get the form to you next Tuesday. But you are probably going to break before that happens.
Well, that's the assumption, but that's also that's also the problem. And this is also the problem of subsonic torture versus actual physical torture.
Wait, is it subsonic, or when they put that virtual reality thing on, does it make you feel like you're actually there?
No. Well, I mean, the idea is it's subsonics because they're saying they've isolated the frequencies. So it's basically like, when you go into a church or a mosque and you like the way the echo chamber is designed, you feel like there's this vibrational tone to it that you can hear even if you can't hear it. That is just telling you that, oh, this is a place of worship. This is a place that takes me outside of reality. And this is what they're doing. They're doing the subsonic torture that this species evolved to effectively say, we are dying, and here is us dying, and you should feel very bad about us dying. And they're making you listen to it. But because, first off, she's not the one killing them. So the threat to her from hearing this sound, it's like when you watch a movie and that movie touches you and you feel sad by it, you're not the one breaking that, person's heart. You're just experiencing the sorrow of breaking that person's heart. And once you understand that it's fictional, you can actually watch that for enjoyment.
But it's not fictional. It's an actual
recording
of something real that happened.
True, but the people that they are basing this on, which were their soldiers who heard it, were the ones inflicting that pain. So obviously they're going to have a much more visceral response to it because they're the ones it's intended to. They're the ones being broken. And for what it's worth, we see Bix after all this. After they say, oh, yeah, she gave us everything we wanted, and this is what she told us. Pardon me. And we see her operating. Because even as she's threatening to do this, and she's telling you about the person that they hit before, and how they gave us everything anyway, it seemed hardly worth the cost. But we actually never see him or know what his cost was. We do see Bix, and whatever Bix paid for this, whatever she gave, it obviously hasn't scarred her. She's still operating. I mean, I'm sure it hurt her.
Let's not go that far. Because when he first encounters her, when she's rescued, she is... Do you watch Game of Thrones? There was a character in it named Reek. He wasn't named Reek, but once he got caught and he got subjugated, he became Reek. And just the thought of escape was too scary. Oh, I don't want to get in trouble. Even if escape is right there in front of you, you're not going to take it because you're so broken psychologically. And there was a measure of that in her when Cassian...
Well, Cassian's not back yet.
No. But if you're going to say, oh, when they find her, she's still operating, right? But she is, but it takes a moment to get her back. She's in the wild.
No, because that was actually when she was beaten up. Because that was the previous issue when he first comes back before the heist.
No. When he finally finds Bix after this whole debacle, she's a little bit like, I don't want to leave. I can't leave. She's broken.
Okay, I haven't watched that far ahead. Okay.
So yeah, I thought that's what you were referencing when I was like, but when they
but we see her walking around, and it's entirely possible. Yeah, so it probably maybe had a heavier psychological scar that I'm giving here, but I don't know. I guess, and obviously maybe they built it up afterwards because they did want to emphasize the danger of it.
Yeah, so, to me, what it said to me was that she loves Cassian. And that she's not going to give. And that's what it was showing, despite all the arrogance and the bravado that is in between how they actually feel about each other. Push comes to shove, she's not going to give him up because
I guess from my perspective, I'm putting it in context of the first time Cassian comes back. Because he is specifically trying to get her to come with him.
Right.
And she's like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
And even makes the point that everyone hates you here. And that's the thing to me.
Not everyone. That's the thing.
Well, yeah. Obviously not everyone. But like to me, I kind of feel like there's this aspect to it that, you know what? I will wager that she could have, like, if she could have looked at the interrogator and said, do you think anyone on this planet actually gives a flying fig about Cassian Andor? This was a free settlement until he brought the weight of the Empire down upon us. Look, and like she says, look, if this is just about money, I understand that. And she said, yeah, man, I don't know. There's money to be made. We give money, and it's the business. And quite frankly, I was happy to sell people stuff that nobody was going to miss because no one was missing it. You're going to tell me now you're missing it? I absolutely don't want to sell that stuff no more. Thank you very much. But the fact of the matter is that they were like, oh, okay. that's not what we're going to do. And instead, we're going to do this. And she gives them the information, which leads to a discovery. And again, something that I think is less helpful than they think it is. Which is because even the person they find, they found outside of the information. Because they say, oh, yeah, this person, we did a routine check and we just happened to check them. And it was, oh, this wasn't right. So we did further. And then that's how we caught this person. They go, aha, this tells us about this raid that's going to happen on this other place. So we can be prepared for it. But really, I don't think anything she gets from this actually helps them per se.
I agree. It reminded me a lot of if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto 5, there's a mission in there where they have to figure out who the person they should eliminate. So they're torturing this poor guy. And at the end of the mission, they're done with the guy and they've got to dispose of him. Trevor, one of the main characters in Grand Theft Auto, is driving this guy to the airport. And he's like, you're going to go on a mission now and you're going to tell the world that torture is not a great way of getting information. He's like, I would have told you everything. He goes, I know. Torture is not to get information. Torture is for the torturer. We enjoy it. We should all just admit that's why we do it. That's going to be you're going to tell the world that torture is not a great way of getting information. It's because we like doing it. So we should just admit it. And I was like, my God, what a dark thing. Yeah. But this speaks to that same idea.
And to be fair, that's what the
process.
Yeah, that's what she's doing there. She's like, no, I just want to torture you.
Right.
Because she is, although she can be intimidated because we see when our favorite incel boy shows up at her place of work. And just is like, I just want you to know, I love you. I love you to death. It's like, okay, thank you for playing.
Yeah, but it's strange with him. It's not a romantic love that he feels for her. It's like an ideological love that he feels for her.
And to be fair, that's her conundrum. Because he says, you have any idea how much trouble you're in? And he's like, I'm in no trouble whatsoever. I think the Empire is the bee's knees. And I just want you to know how much I love the Empire. And it's like, if she goes to her superiors and says, this man says he loves the Empire and keeps talking to me. It's like, yes, I know. We kind of want people to like the Empire. That's that's literally our job. Okay. If you can't handle some rando fanboy telling you how much they love the Empire, then maybe you're not cut up for this job. And so now she is like, and this I think is one of the things. This is the encircling of the Empire is what we're getting here. Is this idea that they want to be this powerful being, but they were always very weak. And in fact, the only thing that has kept them operational is bureaucratic stagnation, which is ironic because it's like that was why they came to power. And it's the only thing keeping them in power is that people just want to have a bureaucratic system that just moves along, count to two, let it through, that whole thing. Nobody wants to have a revolution unless you make it so intolerable to just have a day-to-day that you're like, well, I guess we might as well have a revolution now.
Yeah, the lemmings will always opt for stability, even a measure of stability, even if it is burdened by a tremendous amount of oppression. Exactly. A modicum of stability will appease a lot of the lemmings, and that doesn't help Luthen and the rebellion.
Yeah, but the Empire is more than happy to help them.
Yes.
And that's the thing. It's like, they could. It's like I always say, it's like the Soviet Union could have run for years if they just were less jerks to people and let them drill for oil in Siberia. Because, all of Russia's oil wealth, that all happened after the fall of the Soviet Union because suddenly no one was going to go to a gulag if they wasted all of the state's resources drilling for oil in Siberia. But because people knew they'd go to a gulag if they did that, they didn't bother to check, even though they knew there was probably a high likelihood that it was there somewhere. And so, oligarchic Russia exists expressly because they had a profit motive, and the Soviet Union did not have a profit motive. And the empire is going to collapse because there is not a profit motive to just keep things running. There's a profit motive to rise in the ranks by oppressing individuals. And because oppressing individuals is how you rise in the ranks, everyone wants to oppress an individual, but that doesn't actually keep the empire together. That actually works countermanded to the empire. But for one brief, glorious moment, if you're a sociopath, you can rise through the ranks. If you want to be Admiral Thrawn, you can get all the way to the top just by crushing everyone beneath you.
And it's kind of like they're caught between a rock and a hard place because their assertion of power relies on these kind of methods, right? Of oppressing and whatnot. And if somebody pushes them to the brink, they're like, okay, we have to react. We have a reputation to uphold. Nobody can oppose us without feeling some sort of consequences. So we need to remind everybody of the consequences of when you do mess with us. And that dynamic is a strong pull. And at a certain point, you have to be like, okay, they have pushed us into a corner where either we err on this side or we err on this side. Either way, we're going to have to do something and deal with the fallout. So might as well bring the hammer down. We'll deal with the fallout on this side. We cannot deal with the fallout of people thinking that we are weak or that we do not have the infrastructural control to be able to manipulate things to a level to bring you to heel. Right. That's sort of like reminding people of the power that they need to be afraid of is important, too. So they're like, man, what do I do? OK, you leave us no choice. We got to go this way or that way. But hey, now we're committing to this side. So I kind of see, how their hand was forced also.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with that per se. And that's this is really where it all gets into that complex question is, when the debacle on Perich happens because some idiot just goes whole hog, which they knew they weren't supposed to. And because this idiot goes whole hog on Perich, everything that was established, because that's the idea here, is the previous person in charge of Perich. He knew that, stuff goes missing. What are you going to do? Kids will be kids. There's always going to be these little rapscallions running around, stealing devices and selling stuff on the black market. That's not our concern. Our concern is actual real threats. Like, who can mount an actual attack on the empire? Whereas if we let the rebellion be a bunch of rebellious little groups running around, and every so often we'll send in some troops to go smack some people around and be the people who are there to restore order, then that works for us. But when you have a sociopath who wants to rise in the ranks, it's in their best interest to really make everyone else look stupid for letting that happen, just so they can rise in the ranks and be the what's the word I want to use here? Be the harbinger of the truth of the empire. Be the person who brings the greatness of the empire to bear. I think the war they're fighting is a war of image, right? The physicality of it, the actual tangible danger of it is not as important as the perceived danger of it. Well,
the battle that they're fighting is for the perception of the empire. And that's why they have to go like ridiculous routes to sort of manage the perception of the empire.
I'm going to go to the exact opposite. That the actual war they're fighting is actually a physical war against the rebellion and the various separatist groups that have existed before the empire. That the empire rose to existence because of separatist groups. And now there's still separatist groups, and now the empire has to find a way to manage separatist groups. I think they
just have to assert their power by the threat of danger, and they need to be reminded every now and then. And if you allow a situation to happen where the perceived response of the empire is not met by the actual, response of the Empire as saying, oh yeah, they are who we thought they were, then that's a problem. If they appear ineffectual, then it gives rise to the rebellion saying, hey, maybe there's hope. You can't let there be hope. That's the thing.
Well, no, I'm going to go the exact opposite route on this, because this is what I'll say. The Hutts were in charge before the Empire rose. The Hutts were in charge after the Empire rose. The whole point of mobsters and thugs don't like, which is what gets into our little subplot here, which we'll get to a bit next episode, of, whether or not we're going to take money from gangsters. Gangsters, Mozz. Thugs want to fund the rebellion. Thugs want to fund the rebellion because, they actually don't want any empires looking at their business either, Thugs hate fascists. Doesn't mean that thugs are better than fascists. It just means that, you know what? As much as you hate people going into your business, I really hate people going to my business, because even if this was a legitimate government, they'd be going into my business, and I don't like that either. And you actually will get this. You get a little bit of it here, which is when our senator is looking for a loan, and she does not like who she has to get a loan from, because he's a thug. But we'll get into that next episode, because I think that really comes to boil next episode. But in this one, it is just the fact that no matter what the Empire does, it actually needs to navigate. This is what's called, and it's something that has been brought up before. It never actually works out, although there's an arguability that it actually is working in Iraq, that essentially once people come to power, they have to deliver for their people. And that so long as people have as their motivation delivering for their people, they can maintain power, even if they're taking a little off the top, because they have to deliver for their people. And that is essentially how all of American government works. You can do whatever you want and say whatever you want, but so long as people can go to the store, buy their food, and go home, they feel content with whatever else it is you're doing. But you have to maintain a base level of human society, and then everyone's pretty cool with whatever else you want to do. Because so long as it doesn't affect them personally, it doesn't affect them personally. And that's the Empire. But let's get back to the prison, because that's actually the real crux of these, is our big prison escape plan here. We get so pulled into the politics of it all that we forget about the prison escapes. Andor has a plan, and it's a plan based on the title of this episode, Nobody's Listening, which is literally the whole point, is that, and this is the truth of every state. Everyone's saying, the FBI, it's listening to you, whatever you tell Alexa. And, well, I'm sure Alexa's listening for some things. It's probably not listening as closely as you think, or as non-contextually as you think. And the point is that, as Cassian says, they're not listening to us. They don't. That if they were to spend the time to try and listen to us, that would mean that they're actually investing in this, and they can't afford to. They don't have enough people. And this is the truth of all law enforcement situations.
Well, let's take a look at what just happened with the iPhone. The new operating system came out that allows end-to-end encryption, which the FBI is incredibly upset about, and they're begging Apple to change this little thing because they want in on our conversations. So, I mean, I don't know.
They want in on conversations that they want in on. They want to be able to use a wiretap, as they have in the past, and to be fair, they are broadcasting over what are, I guess, the electromagnetic fields that are owned by the government, because apparently they own those too. But they do, because that's how broadcasts get to us, and that's how we can actually have an organized electromagnetic field system. That it's like, no, the government says, okay, we're regulating these electromagnetic fields. We own these electromagnetic fields. Because we own these electromagnetic fields, if we bring you a warrant, we get to search your electromagnetic fields, because You and I don't own our electromagnetic fields. AT&T owns the electromagnetic field because they're
But
paying.
if you can create a mechanism through end-to-end encryption where you do not have the capability that I possess the key that unlocks this inscrutable code into a legible message, I own that key. And I'm just using you to send random bips and bops and beeps and boops.
Oh, yes.
Right? And I own the key. That's becomes a different issue of constitutional relevance to privacy and all those sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, no,
it's not simply,
well, yeah, but it's not that the government wants to listen to what you and I send to each other through bips and bops. It's what they want to send through people that they are concerned about, including revolutionaries. And
but the idea is any person can be a point of concern, and they want to manage all of it so that they can manage all those concerns.
Well, yeah, but that's going to be the case anyway. And the truth is, anyone that says that end-to-end encryption is unbreakable, I got some Bitcoin to sell you. So, I'm sorry. Okay. The idea is that anyone that is looking at these things as unhackable, unbreakable, but
it takes a considerable amount more energy, a considerable amount more money, considerably higher amount of manpower to break it. And so now they have to have a different equation. Oh, am I willing to spend the money to get this? I don't know. But if it was readily available, we would have more control. Yada, yada.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, of course, it's a question of money, but if you're the people that print the money, it's a lot easier to say, okay, we'll just break it later. But they don't want to have to. They don't want to have to because, again, it's going over their airwaves. And they're saying, look, if you want to use our airwaves.
Yeah, no, you can have access to whatever I send over the airwaves. You do not have access to its contextual relevance, right? You can catch my bips and bops. That's all I'm sending. But what I do with those bips and bops once I get them, that's not up to you.
Well, that's the argument that's the conflicted argument here. Is should you be able to put whatever you want in bips and bops, which may include criminal activity, which may include, the plot to do something bad. And there's a lot of bad things that people do because people are really awful. Let's be honest. Maybe it's like, and that's sort of the whole child porn thing. It's like, everyone hates child porn. So when you make the point that, that's so people can send child porn, everyone's like, ooh, I don't want people sending child porn because child porn is very, 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 very bad. People say, well, maybe, okay, for that, we'll say we can do it.
But by the same token, then you have issues where if they have access to all of our information and if the algorithms are good at predicting how we're going to feel based on what information is fed to us, if they can form a dossier on every single person and recognize, hey, what can we need to feed to this person to make their mind occupied by this idea so that they're not paying attention to this idea? And these sorts of things become really dangerous because, again, people are dangerous and people are bad. People love doing bad things, not just the criminals down here, but the criminals up there, too. So,
and that is true. But that is, I think this is the point that Cassian makes, is that they can't afford to do that. The state can't afford to have a dossier on every American.
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he's saying is that they are really arrogant and they think they've already got us, right? Because they have this floor thing, they don't need to listen to us. They feel like they don't need, because we are no longer a threat. They have us under their thumb, so they're not worried about us. They're worried about the people out there. I don't think they're going to bother us.
They're worried about the system, but this goes back to the basic core of it, which is like you can be worried about the system. Which is we just want the Death Star pieces to come through every day on the schedule. And because of that, we really don't care about you being in there. The problem happens when these people in the ISP start screwing up everyone else's business. Because the prison's just like, no, man, we just want to get people in. We make them build some stuff. We send them home.
No, we don't send them home. We just found that out.
No, now we don't. Now we don't. That's the problem. I
don't think they ever did. I don't think they ever did.
No, because I think that I think it was previously established that Andor's been in prison. Andor has done stuff.
Not on a prison like this.
No, not on that. What is it? Anakar? But yeah. Yeah, he hasn't been here yet. Although they say you might be surprised to see how much nicer it is. 3 hots and a cot. Flavor if you're good.
And if you're the leader, you don't have to eat through a tube. He has a little tray of food that he's picking at with a fork. He gets real food. He doesn't get the tube food.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is nice. It is this whole thing, but at the same time, when you start to make it be a bad situation, when you break the social contract, and that's really all it is. It's a social contract. There was a social contract that said, okay, you committed a crime, you go to the prison, and you make your license plates, and this is the time you have. And then suddenly everyone's sentence gets doubled. Suddenly everyone's like, excuse me, that's not the contract we agreed to. As Darth Vader says to Boba Fett, I've changed the deal. Pray I don't change it further. It's like, dude, it's not a deal if you can just change it.
And then they find out that, hey, they accidentally send a guy to the wrong floor. He was supposed to get out, and he shows up on a different floor, and the jig is up.
Well,
we're just recycling people like the Catholic Church. Just like, you go over there now, you go over there now. It's not like you're never gone. So,
exactly. And this is the problem, is that suddenly once someone says, no, I was on another floor, I was supposed to get out, that suddenly you don't have this power anymore. And once you get revealed to be the liar you are, suddenly everything goes to heck. So,
because what have I got to lose anymore?
Exactly, and there's nothing more dangerous than a person who has nothing to lose. Okay, Mozz, let's wrap this episode up here because we have another episode we wanted to do.
Yeah, it was sad watching Olaf die.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was. Oh, but you know what? I knew that guy was dead the minute I saw him.
Yeah,
old people in prison never get out,
especially when you just all of a sudden double their sentence. This dude was about to get out in 31 shifts.
I know, but he was still about to get out, and it's like, but then but when you first see him, he's like, I'm going to do my job. He is freaking boxer. He is like, I will work harder. I will get out of here. And there's a part of that's like, what are you going home to? You get out of here. Where are you going? And it's like, and that's what they hope everyone's going to settle into that mindset of is, where will you go?
Well, in all honesty, just having one day where you get out and just die sleeping on a park bench would be a very welcome thing, rather than having to be under the threat of being electrocuted and lifting these heavy things and making instruments of oppression for the whole galaxy. It's a much better feeling to die alone on a park bench.
What I will say is I have never slept on a park bench, so I can't say that it's better,
You can't say that it's better than being under the threat of, hey, wake up, you have to get up and under the threat of being electrocuted, you have to go work now.
Well, let me put it this way. Right now, I wake up every morning to go to work under the threat that otherwise I will have to sleep on a park bench. So, all things being equal.
Not the same.
It's not the same. I agree.
And one would clearly be more preferable to the other.
Yeah. And certainly if I had spent that much time in prison, death on a park bench does sound better.
Right. And that's the point they come to. He says, he goes, Kino says, look, I'm operating from the assumption that I'm already dead. And let's see where we go from here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's next episode. We will get to that in a minute. Mozz.
I love the way that this ends up, because this whole time he's trying to convince him. He goes, tell me what you know before you leave. Tell me. And the guy is so institutionalized that he can't bring himself to do it. And then at the end, finally, when he says, what do you mean? Keep my man in line. What happened on level 2? And when he finally finds out and he has his on program, and he said, and then he goes, how many men are they? He goes, never more than 12. And you see that look on his face. It's like everything I tried to hold together meant nothing. and now we're on the precipice of something brand new. And watching that moment happen on his face, my God, what a powerful moment that was.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he finally gives in and says, never more than 12. My word. Woof.
But, it's all about the doctor. It's the doctor who, and it's interesting that they have a doctor prisoner.
Yeah.
But they actually arrested someone with medical training, and he gets to have a blue stripe.
Yeah.
Because medical is always blue. Everyone else is orange, but, doctors, I'm blue. Let me through.
Makes me think of what's in that blue milk. Is it also medicated to keep people placated?
You know what? Hey, you know what? They drink a lot of it. So, not for nothing. It's important to remember, Mozz, that for most of at least European history, people drank beer for breakfast. Not because it was placating, but because it was the only thing that was safe to drink. So, most of at least European history, at least Western history, everyone was day drinking. So, so forgive us for...
you look at things now and the amount of additives and hormonal precursors that are in a lot of our food. It's pretty dangerous, the effect that's having on all our thinking.
Oh, I don't think it affects our thinking. I think it affects our physicality.
Oh, you don't think that has a measure of how the chemistry of our brains operates by the amount of chemicals that we ingest? I think it certainly does.
I will disagree with you, but I'm not a biochemist. Neither are you. So we will agree to disagree, because that's what's great. When neither of us are experts, we can always say we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, but I think top out to say that things that are markedly easy to see, just because I can't claim to have a degree, so I have
what I'm going to say is I don't know how my body turns anything I eat into anything.
Yeah, I know that's an easy way to ignore the effects that the people that are in control are having over you.
But again, like I said, the organic chemicals are far more complex than inorganic chemicals, especially because inorganic chemicals, you're just evolving to do one thing, which is to give a flavor.
If you simply look at the rates of how early puberty happens in kids, this last decade versus the last 3 decades, there's a decided jump. So there are dramatic effects to how people behave based on what is fed to us. So,
but that could also be just the higher amount of protein in human diets.
It's easy to find justifications for the oppressors, sure.
Well, no, it's just easier to find a scientific explanation that, we used to live on 3,000 calories. Now the average human's eating 6,000 calories a day. Probably that's going to have some physical effect on us.
Jesus
Christ, our body's going to think
calories a day?
I would imagine, at least for most Americans, yeah.
Jesus
Once you start eating meat on the regular, which most people do, if you eat protein every day, your caloric intake basically quadruples, because protein is
the average calories that an American consumes is 3,600, which is still
okay. Well, either way, yeah. I mean, my point is that humans have been eating much more meat, much more dairy, much more high caloric content food.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably also true, but I don't think it is as relevant to this argument or as relevant to a change in our thinking. If you look at the amount of processed food that we're eating, the amount of different chemicals that we don't know what they do to people, I think that has a much greater effect than just a higher level of protein.
Again, it's a question of when you say we don't know what that chemical does to people. We don't know what most chemicals do to people.
Yeah, and then every 5 years, there's a lawsuit for Roundup, there's a lawsuit for Zantac, there's a lawsuit for Tylenol. We tell women that the best thing to take for during pregnancy is Tylenol because everything else is dangerous. And now there's a lawsuit happening suing Tylenol because people who take Tylenol during pregnancies, their children have a much higher rate of autism spectrum disorder.
Which, to be fair, is what... And again, this is an argument to be had. It's about what's called ambulance chasing versus what scientific studies have shown.
No, but ambulance chasing is not what this is. If they're finding
if a lawyer is asking you to do it, it's an ambulance chaser.
All right, yeah, but does that mean that argument holds no weight?
No, it doesn't mean the argument holds no weight. It just means that the person who is informing you of this information has a vested interest.
I understand it, but that has nothing to do with the validity of the argument. That can be a
This is true. This is true. But the point is that, so within the context of all things, this is my general rule of thumb. And maybe it makes me a fool. I've been a fool. I will probably always be a fool. But I always ask, when someone tells me something, the first question I ask is, why do you want me to know this?
Right. Unless it's,
and if they haven't,
because then you'll make justifications for them.
No, I don't make justifications for the guy. I always
is it hard to say that the powers that be are a little lax with their care for what their products will do to people?
Well, no, but more to the point, I don't think the government has the manpower to individually profit.
It's not. I don't think it's the government. It's the corporate people that bribe the government to say, "Don't look at this, overlook this, and let us do this."
Oh yeah, and that usually comes out as a big scandal later,
right? But we have those every 5 years about something.
Well, we have that mostly about getting new medications to market, not about existing medications in regular use.
Tylenol is not a new medication.
I know, which is why it makes me think it's an ambulance chase. Because
but if you could say, you don't think that's a valid thing that we should have lawsuits about? If all of a sudden there's a giant jump in kids having autism because you're telling women to take the wrong kind of medication, that's not worth.
Let me tell you a story. Okay. So my mom used to work for a drug company. This was before the knowledge of Reye's syndrome was well established. And the FDA, just prior to one of her colleagues' kids having a case of Reye's syndrome, has sent out notifications to everyone, to all the drug companies saying, please note, if you see these symptoms, this may be Reye's syndrome. They were able to get the kid to the hospital. They knew it was Reye's syndrome. They took care of the kid. Kid survived. But the point is that there is no profit benefit to any company or any state to allow bad things to happen.
I'll give you an example. Johnson & Johnson's talcum powder causes women to have ovarian and fallopian tube cancer.
Well, no.
There were emails that came out where their scientists said to their executives, hey, we shouldn't be putting this in it. This is carcinogenic. It's going to give, and they're like, yeah, it's all right. We'll just deal with the fallout and we'll set some millions of dollars aside for the lawsuit and we'll just let it happen.
And to be fair, that's literally what they did.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you know, talcum powder is a interesting product to use in general and was a well-established product beforehand.
No, but that's what I mean. Before they ever put the product out, their scientists told them not to do it. And they said the profits outweigh the fallout, so we'll do it anyway.
Well, actually, what there is more to it than that is that there is a profit. We're not supposed to be doing superconductivity right now, even though you're wearing the shirt. The profit motive in taking talcum off the market without
but this is before they ever put the product out. They knowingly
No, that is not Mozz. Do you know how old talcum powder is?
Yeah, but we are talking
about pre-World War I.
No, but you're going off of suppositions, and I'm telling you that because of the lawsuit that's happening,
first off, Mozz, there were not emails in 1908. Okay? There were no emails from 1908.
I mean, for some reason, you love arguing for the oppressors, and that's
I'm not arguing for the oppressors.
In this world too,
I'm arguing for basic logic.
That the government or whatever the power structure is not for them, and people don't want to believe it because their worldview will.
Let me give you the example that proves your point, but also undermines it because that's the whole reason you make a point. Aspirin, as the scarlet fever cure, which is how it was marketed when we made the Germans give it up, as part of the Treaty of Versailles in World War I, how do you make this scarlet fever cure, would never be approved by the Food and Drug Administration due to all of its side effects. It would be considered one of the most dangerous substances you could take or give to someone had it not been, first off, the cure for freaking scarlet fever, which was one of the most, which is to this day a highly devastating disease.
Right.
Because what
devastating problem was talcum powder solving?
Made your butt stink, but
right.
Still. But the fact of the matter is that because people knew, hey, if I put talcum on my butt doesn't stink as much. Right. People started using it.
Right. So the powers that be will always not have your best interest at heart.
No, Mozz. What will happen is if there's not a law that says you can't sell talcum powder, and you say we're not going to sell talcum powder because we're worried it could have negative effects on people's health, some other company will sell talcum powder. And people will then say, oh, I use that good old talcum because talcum's what makes my butt not stink. And that is a whole other thing. So there are other factors that lie into it. That's my thing, Mozz. It's not that I don't believe in conspiracy. I believe that there's 1,000 conspiracies.
It's not about conspiracy. When you attach that word to it, it just becomes like, oh, conspiracy. No, but the idea can be very, very easily manipulated by personal gain, and that's just a human.
Yeah, well, exactly. Everyone is manipulated by their own personal gain.
Right.
No one is manipulated by the personal gain of somebody else. So no one is going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to sell this product that's going to hurt me because it profits that guy." And likewise, the state has no interest in doing that per se.
Yeah, unless you get bribed.
Well, yes, unless you get bribed, but that's a whole other bag of hammers. When it comes to bribery, let me put it to you this way. No one is bribing anyone to keep Tylenol on the market. Tylenol has been on the market for years. If there are studies that'll say don't take Tylenol, people will tell people. Yeah, but because that's how science works.
Well, yeah, but there's so much science involved in our food and everything that we ingest that we really don't have a good handle on what's happening to our society that we don't even know.
Well, yeah, but we didn't have that good of a handle on it when we were eating random mushrooms either. So, you know.
True, but it was much easier to find out, hey, let's not eat that, you know.
No, it was actually much harder to find out.
Well, no, one person ate it, and the tribe's like, yo, that guy's dead, or his eyes turned red. Let's not go there, you know?
Well, yeah, but as long as he told you which mushroom he ate. So, I mean,
if you watched him do it, you know, it's like...
Yeah, well, are you going to go out with everybody as they're gathering each mushroom and make sure which mushrooms they eat?
No, but you...
They all grow together in clumps, you know? Yeah. Anyway, Mozz, let's get out of here. Let's do another show. This is bonus content. Sorry, Phil.
No, but to me, this is why shows like this are so great, because it is relevant to our own condition and asks us to ask ourselves questions about the world that we live in and if we're comfortable with the way things are happening.
And I agree, Mozz. I agree 100%. I just, if I may make an argument, I don't think the opposite answer is inherently the right answer.
Sure.
And that's just my position. All right. Mozz. Oh gosh. If people see, you made everything shut down on my computer.
Oh no.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I just have to remember my password.
LINK
and get to
TR.
No. So anyway, if you have an opinion, if you would like to agree with Mozz that we are eating too many things that are too processed, write to us at CapesandLunatics, all spelled out, at gmail.com. Phone us at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Let us know. Shout from the mountaintops the dangers that you agree with Mozz about that are about to kill us all. And follow us on Linktree. Go to Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics. Go there, buy some merch, send us money, become a Patreon, and vote on the things we do. And honestly, you know what? I agree with Mozz that you got to be careful about what you eat, but you also have to be careful about what people tell you not to eat, because people will try to control your food as much as they control your sex, because that is how fascists control you. They will tell you, don't eat this and don't do that.
Or they'll tell you, this is safe. You can have this. Oh, this is cool too. Trust me.
I mean, well, that's the inherent question.
And then when you become more pliable and easy to manage, then you don't even know you're being oppressed.
You see, and that's the Old Testament thinking. Because that's why, historically, ancient societies would have two taboos, food and sex. Because that's what would make you go to the other tribe. Because if the other tribe had better food, if the other tribe had better sex, you would leave your tribe to go to that tribe. And that better food and better sex would make your life better. And that was bad for the tribe you left. Because they needed you there doing your part in the hunter-gathering to make sure that you just stayed with our food and our sex, because that's the righteous food and sex. And if you go over there and you start eating flamingo tongues and pork and having sex with that lovely young prostitute, that is bad for society. At least that was the argument, and that has always been the argument of all oppressive regimes. So that's why I'm always very suspect whenever anyone tells me to stop eating something.
All I'm saying is it's equally healthy to be suspect of those in power as well, and not just always.
Exactly. No. You should always be suspect of those in power. Just what I will say is always follow your gut. If your tummy says, I like ice cream, eat ice cream. If your tummy says, I don't like ice cream, no matter how much you like ice cream, listen to your tummy. Your tummy knows. There are more brain cells in your tummy than in your head. And that's my word to the wise. Mozz, how can people find you to talk about all this stuff?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, you can always write to me the old-fashioned email way the way our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things like Bebo saves Christmas. The best thing the CW ever created. I will say it right now. This should be a Christmas institution. It is the one Christmas holiday special that actually stops to say, oh, everyone celebrates the holidays in different ways, and some people enjoy these things that I think are anathema to what makes Christmas great. I had never realized that actually could be a way to bring people together, not drive people apart. My closed-minded thinking on Christmas is actually problematic. So watch Bebo Saves Christmas. I highly recommend it. It will be available on your CW app, which is a free app, so enjoy it. And, of course, you follow me on that Twitter at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Mozz. All right. Hey, me hearties. You have come to the end of another very long voyage with us. And we are glad you stuck around for us. I hope you enjoyed it. Some of the content may get siphoned off for another show, but that's okay. We hope you join us again as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arrgh.